Live from Stanford, this is Tefillah TidBits. I'm standing in front of the Bennett Library on Vine Road. The library is a place of books, of great literature, of entertainment. We get to read wonderful books. For me, it reminds me of some of the traumatic moments in my English class. And I want to share with you two things that I learned in English class in grade school. One, you're not supposed to begin a sentence with "and." It's one of the first principles we were taught. You never begin a sentence with "and." Secondly, I remember being taught that a sentence, a paragraph rather, is supposed to have a thesis statement and a clincher statement, the beginning and the end, and they're supposed to be the same topic. Why do I mention this? On page 108 in the Siddur that we use, we have the 14th blessing of the Amidah, V'Yerushalayim Ircha, of Jerusalem. So 3 weeks now we're thinking about Jerusalem. So first of all, the blessing begins with a vav, with and Jerusalem. It seems like my English teachers would fail. The writers, the Anshe Knesset Agdola, those that wrote the prayers, because it begins with an and. And secondly, the blessing begins with the rebuilding of Jerusalem, and it doesn't end with Uvnei Osa B'Karov Yameinu, that we should rebuild it. It ends with V'chisei David Meheira L'Sochatachin, that the Davidic dynasty, that King David's kingdom should be returned. Why these violations, so to speak, of the rules of grammar? Our sages teach us that V'Yerushalayim, that this 14th blessing begins with a vav, begins with an and, with a conjunction, because originally it was one blessing. That V'Yerushalayim and Es Tzemach, the 14th and 15th blessings, were one blessing. And the next blessing, Es Tzemach David, talks about the Davidic dynasty. These were written at a time when Christianity was on the upswing, and the Jews wanted to make sure that people understood that we believe the Messiah had not yet come, and we pray for the Messiah, not that he had already come. And that's where the Vav comes in to remind us that this was connected to another blessing. The 12th blessing, V'la Malshinim, also has a similar story, being connected to the blessing before it in that case, and has the Vav. But what's interesting is there are some Siddurim that actually reverse the last two clauses in this blessing. Because if it's beginning and end on the same topic, it should end as follows. You should say, V'chisei David Meheira L'Sochatachin, that the seat of King David should be established. Uvnei Osa B'Karov Yameinu, we should rebuild it. And then Baruch Hashem Bonei Yerushalayim, blessed are you who rebuilds Jerusalem. And indeed there are Siddurim that reverse it. So why don't we? The answer is that there's a statement in the Talmud, in the Jerusalem Talmud, that says that we have to combine the notion of building Jerusalem with the notion of the Davidic dynasty. They cannot be separated, and the blessing must end, the blessing for rebuilding Jerusalem must end with a prayer for Mashiach, for the return of the Davidic dynasty. Whichever way we say the blessing, during these 3 weeks, our minds are focused on Jerusalem, are focused on both ideas of rebuilding Jerusalem to its original glory and the Davidic dynasty, that we should have Mashiach and we should all experience salvation. Something we should be thinking about during these very sad and pensive 3 weeks of our calendar. See you in Shul.